Thanks to a year of inflation, the price of breakfast in America is now obscene, according to Michael Snyder. They have officially ruined breakfast. Once upon a time, breakfast was the least expensive meal of the day, but now everything has changed. Eggs, butter, and coffee have all become extremely expensive, and there is no relief in sight in 2025. When I went to the grocery store on Friday, I spent about $45 for just 9 tubs of butter. I could hardly believe my eyes. But after doing some digging, I discovered that $5 for a pound of butter is very close to the national average at this stage. Of course, in some areas, it's even more expensive. During an exchange on MSNBC's Morning Joe program, Joe Scarborough was astounded to learn that the price of butter had reached $7 in some stores in his area. It's $7, and I'm just saying $7, Brzezinski interrupted. Butter is $7. What is it framed in gold? Scarborough replied incredulously with a look of shock on his face. It's $7. It depends on where you go, Brzezinski stated soberly. Europe is facing a similar crisis. In fact, the price of butter in Europe jumped to over an average of 19% during the 12-month period ending in October. Across the 27 member states of the European Union, the price of butter rose 19% on average for October 2023 to October 2024, and that included a rise of 49% in Slovakia and 40% in Germany and Czech Republic, according to EU figures, with reports indicating the cost has continued to rise. But they keep telling us that inflation is under control. Yes, right, okay. Egg prices have been rising even more rapidly. In some areas of California, a carton of 12 eggs will now cost you $9. Egg prices in California have reached unprecedented levels, with some areas reporting costs as high as $9 per dozen. This surge is largely attributed to the ongoing impact of highly pathogenic avian influenza, commonly known as bird flu, which has significantly disrupted egg supply across the United States. The price escalation in California is particularly notable. While the national average of a dozen grade A large eggs hovers around $3.20 in California, the average price for a carton of white cage-free eggs has hit $5.11 a dozen. However, in certain regions, consumers are seeing prices nearly double that amount. I vividly remember when we could buy a carton of eggs for less than $1. Sadly, those days are long gone and they aren't coming back. It's been reported that egg prices have risen 160% since 2019, and they're expected to go substantially higher in 2025 because of the bird flu. If you love coffee, you should be aware that coffee prices are also being projected to continue to rise at an exponential rate in 2025. You can imagine paying $8 for a single cup of coffee. Well, those that live in Australia could be doing exactly that by the end of this calendar year. Coffee lovers could soon not be able to justify buying their caffeine fix daily, with experts warning single cup could cost from $8 to $12 by the end of 2025. A confluence of factors has pushed Arabica beans prices into the stratosphere. If you can believe it, the price of a pound of Arabica beans jumped more than 80% in 2024. The warning comes as the price of Arabica beans, the world's most popular variety, continues to rise. Buying a pound of the bean variety topped US $3.44 on December 10, having risen more than 80% in 2024. Chocolate prices are entering unprecedented territory as well. In 2024, cocoa futures actually tripled in price. Prices for chocolate's main ingredients have almost tripled since the start of 2024, as faltering production in West Africa, the world's biggest growing region, led to massive supply shortages, the publication wrote, citing exchange data. In early January, cocoa futures traded around $4,000 per ton. In mid-December, they peaked at $12,700 per ton, according to the data from Trading Economics. And as the price shifts starts filtering down to the consumer level, a lot of us won't be able to afford to eat as much chocolate as we once did. In fact, we've already reached a point where chocolate is being referred to as a luxury item. If you love beef, I have more bad news for you. According to Zero Hedge, cattle futures just hit another new all-time high record. Cattle futures in Chicago surged to record highs on Friday, driven by severe winter weather forecasts for Central Plains and Midwest, two key regions home in the nation's cattle belt. Analysts warn that the harsh conditions could reduce herd sizes and impact carcass weights, further tightening the nation's cattle supply. While cattle can tolerate cold weather, extreme cold forces them to expend more energy, directly impacting feed conversion rates and ultimately reducing carcass weights. Daily Livestock Report wrote in a note on Friday, warning that cattle weights fell 3% during last year's cold blast across the lower 48. Demand for beef remains very robust, but the size of the U.S. national cattle herd just keeps shrinking. At this point, it's the smallest that it has been since 1961, so beef prices will just keep escalating in 2025. You could try switching to chicken or turkey, but they are both becoming more expensive thanks to the bird flu. The bottom line is that we are transitioning into an entirely new environment. We were quite accustomed to living in a society that produced enormous quantities of extremely inexpensive food, but now global food supplies are steadily getting tighter and global food prices are steadily marching upwards. Hunger is on the rise all over the world, and demand at food banks in the United States is higher than ever before. Years in advance, I explained to my readers in excruciating detail where global food production trends would be taking us. Sadly, it will not be possible for our leaders to reverse those trends. Horrifying global food shortages are in our future, and I would suggest that you prepare accordingly. This is by Michael Snyder on the Economic Collapse blog. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support. About the author, Michael Snyder's new book, Why, is available on paperback and for Kindle on Amazon. He's also written 8 other books available on Amazon, including Chaos, End Times, 7-Year Apocalypse, Lost Prophets in the Future of America, The Beginning of the End, and Living a Life That Really Matters. When you purchase any of Michael's books, you help to support the work that he's doing. You can also get his articles by email as soon as he publishes them by subscribing to his Substack newsletter. Michael has published thousands of articles on the Economic Collapse blog, End of the American Dream, and the most important news, and he always freely, happily allows others to republish those articles on their own websites. These are such troubled times and people need hope. John 3:16 tells us about the hope that God has given us through Jesus Christ. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish but have everlasting life. If you have not already done so, we strongly urge you to invite Jesus Christ to be your Lord and Savior today. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support. Please support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.